Om Ajnana Timrandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Someone like to read the English for that?
I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisance unto him. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Very nice. So we're continuing our reading of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which means the Song of God. So these are the words of God. We're so fortunate to be reading the words of God.
So, sorry, what text are we? Text?
Yeah, we're chapter 6, which is entitled Dhyana Yoga, text number 31.
31, got it.
Text number 31.
You got it? Okay, read Sanskrit.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
Okay, we were reading last week how that what's the benefit of the spiritual vision of seeing everything in God and God in everything. So that's the vision of a elevated yogi. Everything is within God and God is within everything. So what's the benefit of that? That the benefit of that is that it creates a very intimate relationship with God. And one never forgets God, and one is intimately related. Like he said, for one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, this is text 30. I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. So this is another way of saying that is that God is always thinking about his loving devotee. And the loving devotee is always thinking about
God.
God. Yeah. So there's a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam that says, Sarva Hridayam Mayam Sarunam Hridayam Twam Maranyate Najanati Naham Tebyo Managapi, where Lord Narayan is telling one yogi named Durvasa. See, Durvasa Muni, he's a great yogi. So he's done many austerities and advanced to, has great powers and everything like that. But he has a bit of a volatile temper. So he's sort of easily pleased and easy to get him angry also. So it goes both ways. So one time he got angry with a great devotee of the Lord named Ambarish, who was a king, Maharaj. So Ambarish was performing a special vow, some fasting, and Ambarish, Durvasa had come with 10,000 disciples. He's a big yogi, to his home, his palace. And in Vedic culture, if someone comes to your home, you feed them. That's like part of the culture. It's expected. It's like automatic. So Ambarish said, you've come, please come and take prasadam. And Durvasa said, okay, but let us take bath first. So they went to the nearby river to take a bath, and then the idea was to come back and eat. In Vedic culture, that's often done, that you get nice and clean before you eat, and that will be better for your health. See, health is very important. So you don't want to eat in a dirty state, otherwise it's going to affect your digestion and everything. If you freshen up, and that will stimulate your appetite and everything. If you feel nice and clean, you'll have a good mindset and your appetite will be increased. And bathing in the river or the sea also is very good for increasing the digestion and everything like that. So, but if you have a shower, a shower now, you don't have a bath like in the river or anything anymore, hardly. We have a bath in the river here, But most people, of course, have a shower or they have a bathtub.
I've got a bathtub.
You got a bathtub, yeah, I know. But do you use it? Probably not very much.
Sometimes depends. If it's too hot, yes.
Yeah. If you're using the bathtub, put some Epsom salts in it. It's very good for the health. Put some Epsom salts.
For the salt, I just go to the beach.
No. Epsom salts. It relaxes all the muscles and that. It's very good for the health.
Okay, I'll try
the Epsom salts.
Epsom salt.
Yeah, Epsom salts, very good for the health. Magnesium sulfate is very good for the health. So anyway, but it's not good for the digestion to have a shower or bath after eating. You shouldn't have a shower ideally at least for a couple of hours after eating. Otherwise, it may upset your digestion.
Yes.
You won't digest the food properly, and indigestion, and then that leads to disease. It means toxins will build up the body. If you don't digest your food properly, toxins will build up in the body, which is called ama. That's toxins building up. So yeah, you have a bath before, not after eating, but before eating. That's good for health. So Prabhupada himself would do that every day. I mean, he would have a bath obviously in the morning. Like generally in Vedic culture, you pass stool in the morning. So after passing stool, you have a bath. Not like in the West, just smear some toilet paper, some paper on your backside. But that's not cleaning anything. That's rubbing the dirt around. Like imagine if you have dirt on your hand. What happens if you've got dirt on your mud on your hand, and you rub paper on it? Is that cleaning the mud off your hand?
Not really.
So what is this Western system? It's completely ridiculous. So in the Vedic system, they use water to clean their backside, not paper, and then have a shower or a bath in a river or whatever like that. And that's become fully clean, and then put on clean clothes. Not also that you take a bath and put the same dirty clothes on that you wore before you had a bath. That's also not perfect. Not like you slept in the clothes and then you had a shower and you put on the same clothes you slept in. No, you don't do that. But
sometimes I've wear that same shorts for 2 days. Not like every day I just wash my clothes. Like the shorts. It's next day I can put the same.
Yeah, I mean there's different standards. I mean it depends how dirty things get also.
But I'm clean in the heart.
And it depends what it's made of. No.
Okay.
No, I mean the best standard is to have clean clothes every day. I mean Prabhupada put on new clothes every time he had a bath.
So
that means at least 2 sets of clothes every day. He wore a set of clothes from after he had a bath in the morning till before lunch. And then after his pre-lunch bath, he would put on another set of clothes. And they would get washed, obviously. And he would wash them himself in the bucket that he had a bath with.
He didn't have a washing machine?
He had a bucket bath.
Wow.
So they would warm up water in a bucket. And then he has a jug, which is called a lota, and he would throw water on himself. That's what I do also. I have a bucket bath.
What's the logic behind it? Why is that? Why not shower?
No shower lah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's more simple to have a bucket in that than creating a shower is like thousands of dollars, whereas a bucket is like $20. So it's very low technology, very simple. And it's a different energy when the water goes through all the pipes and then comes out through the sprinkler head and everything. It's more mode of passion. It's more passion. Even water is in different modes. Everything is in different modes. Food is in the mode of goodness, vegetarian food, or in the mode of passion, onions and garlic, or in the mode of ignorance, meat. So even water, there's water in the mode of goodness. Like out of a river or a stream or something like that, and then if the water goes through 100 bends through all the pipes and everything,
you have to fill your bucket with the tap. The tap comes from different pipes anyway. What's the
True,
difference?
but the water then sits for some time in the bucket, and then it goes back to a more mode of goodness state.
Okay.
And that's why in Indian culture also, they would not drink the water like straight out of the tap or whatever like that. They would leave it in a jug for some time. You know, like they have the copper jugs. So you have a copper vessel and you leave the water sitting in the copper vessel for some time. That means the water can settle down and recover from going through 100 pipes, you know.
I have a clay pot in India. My mom put in a clay pot.
Yeah, so that's why it improves the quality of the water when it sits there after traveling around through pipes and stuff like that. It's better for the health. And also copper, especially water sitting in copper, kills any bugs. So that's a very practical thing. Any like bacteria, viruses, anything like that, germs or whatever in the water get killed by the copper. That's why they often use copper pipes for moving the water around, and use copper jugs because it kills bacteria and viruses and so forth. You know, within this, I can't remember how many hours of sitting in copper, whatever is in there is killed like that. So it's very good. So these are some little points there. But anyway, Durvasa went to have a bath before coming to eat at the king's palace. And then, but he spent some time away, and at that time was the proper time for Ambarish to take his to break his fast, because when you do fasting, there's also a good time and a bad time to break your fast. So, like when we do an Ekadasi every 2 weeks, we fast on Ekadasi, the 11th day after the new moon and full moon. So the following day is called Dwadasi. After Ekadasi is Dwadasi. That means the 12th day. Dwa means 2 and Dasi means 10. So that's the 12th day. Like Eka. Eka means 1 and Dasi means 10. So that's 11th. So the 11th day, and then followed obviously the 12th day. So on the 12th day, you have to break fast in the morning, and it's different every time because it's worked out according to the planet's situation, the lunar situation. So it'll say, like, for example, you've got to break fast following Ekadasi between 6:37 and 8:42, you know, and it'll be a different time period every time. So it's recommended to eat some grains in that break fast time. If you don't do it by that time, then that's regarded as you didn't perfectly do your vow like that. It's not perfect. So he also had to break his fast, but his in Vedic culture, the host should eat after the guest, not before, not even at the same time. First of all, you make sure your guests are fully satisfied, and then when they're all fully satisfied, whatever the number of guests are, then the host and the family can eat. If in order of satisfying your guests, if you have to give them all the food that you've cooked and there's nothing left for your family, tough luck. That's
good luck, actually.
Yeah, that's good luck. I mean, that's the austerity of Grihasta. It's one of the austerities of a Grihasta, a family person, family people, is and that's very purifying, because see, the tendency is that we're all very selfish in the material world. That's the tendency, that we're just thinking about myself. You know, I got a fantastic job, I'm making lots of money, and I've got a beautiful house, and my wife's a great cook. And I'm just eating like a king, you know, I'm just eating like a pig, you know, eating all these delicacies and everything like that, enjoying my senses, my tongue and my belly is full, everything like that. So that tendency is there, selfish tendency. So to break that down, you know, and you might say, well, what's wrong with that? But, you know, if someone wants to go back to Godhead, we need a different mentality. We've got to become selfless. You know, because in the spiritual world, no one's thinking about themselves. In the spiritual world, everyone's thinking about who?
Krishna.
About Krishna. No one's thinking about themselves. So how are you going to get from where we are now, where we only think about ourselves? Oh, what am I going to eat? When am I going to eat? How much am I going to eat? You know, all that kind of stuff, to the point where we're not thinking about these things at all. So to develop that, that's the Vedic culture. Okay, you invite guests to come, you feed them. If there's nothing left, you know, tough luck. You know, wait till the next meal. Like that. So some austerity, it's called tapasya. So voluntarily you're undergoing some difficulties for a higher benefit, you know, to help us become a perfect person, you know, a selfless person, a loving, and that's love. You know, love means you think about the people you love. You don't think about yourself. Like the mother, right? Is the mother thinking about her eating or her kids eating? You know, thinks about the kids eating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you remember that deeper when your kids were little babies? When they're little babies, then you just used to think about feeding them. You would be and forget about feeding yourself. Do you remember that?
She's still the same. Boys eat first.
Yeah. So you feed the kids and make sure they're happy and everything like that. And that's real love. That's real satisfaction. I remember, you know, even at the farm, you know, there's so many guests coming, and it's just so much happiness and feeding the guests, you know, hundreds of people lined up, you're feeding them, and people say, oh, boy, you should make a plate, put aside a plate. No, that's not how it works. Don't think about yourself. You spoil it if you do that. If you make a stash of some food and that for you to eat later on or whatever, but then you're thinking about yourself again, and then you just ruined it. So the whole idea is forget yourself, and by doing that you actually become happy, you know. So I mean, that's my personal experience, that as long as we're trying to make ourselves happy, we never become happy. And as soon as you forget about your own happiness, that's when we start to become happy. You start to become happy, and you just focus on trying to make other people happy, you know, whether it's make Krishna happy, make the devotees happy, make your guests happy, then automatically we become happy. Has anyone else had that experience, like to share?
Do. Yes.
Yeah. And that's love, and that's because that's the nature of the soul, is that our nature is to serve, our nature is to give service, and that's love. And that's why it feels so good, you know, or Gulshan serving out at the Bhakti tree feels so good, you know, and the guests saying, wow, this food's amazing, it's like fantastic, we're so happy, and then Gulshan feels happy, isn't it?
Absolutely. I was,
you know, if
I was living in the Auckland Gurdwara, and then serving that in the you know, Sikh temple. I used to live there and serving that. It's just so much pleasure in serving.
Yeah.
There's no other pleasure on the planet.
Yeah. Sometimes people would say, you know, because sometimes I'd be like the last person to eat or whatever, and at the farm, and sometimes there'd only be like rice and dal left, you know, all the good things have already gone. All the pakoras have gone, all the sweet rice is gone, all the puris are gone, you know, there's just a little bit of rice and dal or something left. And people say, oh, you must be so hungry and everything. I say, actually, no, I'm not. I'm actually quite satisfied.
Yeah, it's after serving that you feel very satisfaction.
Yeah.
Some kind of satisfaction comes that, which is like, you know, it's not a tummy satisfaction, but it's just like, I'm done. Beautiful. Anyway.
Yeah. So, but no, you know, but normally, you know, in the material world, we're always first in line, right? We're the first one to jump in. We want to eat first, you know. So we've got to come from that, you know. We're coming from that, you know, being self. So Vedic culture breaks that down. No, you're not first in line. Like that. It's your senses are not the most important. So, you know, Vedic culture makes us the last. Okay, feed all the guests first. Like that. So that's the normal, but in this case was a special case, that he performing this fasting vow to please Vishnu, and now was the right time to break it for the pleasure of Vishnu. So he didn't know what to do. So he's very intelligent. So he consulted with his Brahmins, means very intelligent people, advisors. Brahmanas are very intelligent. So he had many advisors. Kings would generally, in the past, have many advisors. And if they ever didn't know what to do, they would just ask their advisors. Actually, this reminds me one time, you know Henry Ford, right?
Sure do.
He made the first car, right? So Ford Motors. So some people criticized him that, you know, you didn't even have an education, mate. You know, he didn't even really go through school. I think he left school when he was 15 or maybe even before that. You know, he didn't have, you know, much education. And sometimes people would criticize him for that. And Henry Ford said, no, that's not necessary. You see this button on my table? He had a big button on his table. He said, if ever I need anything, if I need any information, any knowledge, anything, all I do, I just push this button. And I've got all the big brains in every field are at my disposal. I just push this button. I can get someone that knows all about finances, they will come, or about, you know, motors, or about tires, or about, you know, geography, or anything, any subject. He had these mega brain people because he was so successful businessman and so wealthy that he had all these engaged all these very clever people in different areas. So it's not that we have to know everything, but you need to have access, you know, to people that have the knowledge. So every king would have a whole group of advisors, very intelligent advisors, brahmanas, and he could call upon them in need. So he called upon the brahmanas, said, look, this is the situation, what to do. So they said the best thing is to just sip water, because if you sip water, it's like, it's not real food, right? So it's like you didn't break your fast, but on the other side you have, you know, taken something, because you stopped having anything and then you took some water, so you have taken something. So it's like at the same time, it's like you haven't broken it and you have broken your fast. So he sipped water. And then Durvasa, he's, like I said, he's a powerful yogi. He knew from the river, he knew that his host, Ambarish, had taken something. And he became angry. He became angry. And then he pulled a hair out of his head and threw this thing on the ground. And this big demon came out and he sent it to Ambarish. And because Ambarish is a pure devotee of the Lord and he's not afraid of anything and he doesn't care about himself and just absorbed in love for God, you know, he wasn't worried at all when this demon came. He said, well, I mean, if this demon kills me or whatever, it must be Krishna's plan. So, well, just accept it. So he wasn't really worried. But so he wasn't worried, but there was someone that was very worried about him. Do you know who that was? He wasn't worried about himself, but there was someone that was worried about
Krishna.
him. Yeah, Krishna was worried about him. And that's love. Like I'm saying,
Krishna's
that's love.
devotee.
You know, we're not thinking about ourselves, we're thinking about Krishna, and Krishna's not thinking about himself, he's thinking about his devotees. So Krishna had left his infallible weapon always for the protection of Ambarish. So that's the Sudarshan Chakra, which you better not ever mess with Sudarshan Chakra, because there's no weapon that compares to Sudarshan. He can take out anything, anyone, anywhere. So he dealt with this demon, but that wasn't the end of the story. Then he was so peeved off with Durvasa, so he chased Durvasa. And even though he's a powerful yogi and he could go anywhere, so Durvasa went to Brahmaloka. That's his father. He's actually the son of Lord Brahma, so he's not a small fry. He went to Lord Brahma and say, hey, Dad, can you help me out? I'm like seriously in big trouble. I've got, you know, Vishnu's, you know, indestructible weapon behind me. Can you help me out? And you know what his dad said? The first being in the universe. You know what the first being in the universe Brahma said to him?
You can't. You have to go back to
sorry, mate, I can't. Sorry, my dear son, I can't. I'd like to help you, my son, but this is my boss's personal weapon.
Out of my jurisdiction.
Out of my jurisdiction. You're going to have to try your luck somewhere else. So he went to his brother, Lord Shiva, the destroyer of the universe, and said, hey, bro, I'm just abbreviating it. Hey, bro, can you help me out? I'm like seriously in the poo with Sudarshan behind me. And Shiva said, my dear brother, I'd really like to help you out, but this is out of my league. Now you're going to have to go somewhere else. Maybe try Narayan. It's his weapon. Go and see Narayan. So he's such a powerful yogi. He actually, with his mystic power, he went right out of the material world into the spiritual world. That's how powerful the yogi was. He went into the spiritual world, into Vaikuntha. He went to where Lord Narayan was being massaged by Lakshmi, lying on, Ananta Seshanag, and he fell down at the feet of Narayan, said, please, please forgive me, can you please call off your weapon? And you know what Lord Narayan said?
Can't.
Sorry, mate, I can't help you. It's his weapon. But what he said was, he said this, the verse I said, he said, my devotee is in my heart. And I am in my devotee's heart. I do not know anyone except for them. And they do not know anyone except for me. When I read that verse, I just went, whoa, this is love. This is love, between the Lord and his devotee. And then one of the next verses says that Aham bhakta pradino yasvatantra ivadvija sarivir grasta hridayo bhakta jana priya. The previous verse blew my mind, and this verse blew my heart. This verse says that I am not independent of my devotee. I am completely dependent on my devotee. My devotee has controlled my heart. How about that? My devotee has controlled my heart. He says, not only is my devotee dear to me, but the devotee of my devotee is dear to me. So I think Devasa was getting the idea that he hadn't did the worst thing possible. He had offended a devotee of the Lord who was very dear to the Lord. And then Lord Narayan told him, if you want to get relief from my weapon, you have to go back to my devotee. And if and when he forgives you, then, only then, will my weapon withdraw. When he forgives you, then you are only by that you can be saved. So then he went back and he fell at the feet of Ambarish and he was crying and everything and said, I'm such a fool, please forgive me and everything. Ambarish said, sure, no worries, no problem. I wasn't offended, like that. Because that's a devotee, right? Doesn't care about himself. So actually Ambarish wasn't really offended, but the Lord was offended. So that's the thing when you love someone, like, if you try to do something bad to me, I don't really care, but my wife will care. And if you do, and if you do something bad to my wife, she might not care, but I'll care. Then you're dead. So so that's love, right? So Ambarish wasn't really worried about himself, but the Lord was. So, but that's the etiquette. That if you offend a devotee, you have to try to, pacify the devotee and please them, and then the Lord will be satisfied that you've done the right thing, and then like that. So this is the love. So like this verse in the Bhagavad Gita is saying, I am never lost, nor is he never lost to me. So this is indicating that the love between the Lord and his devotee. And this is the ultimate perfection of yoga. That's the ultimate perfection of yoga, to have that loving relationship with the Lord. Does that make sense? You don't want to say anything about this?
No.
There's really nothing more to say after this, because this is the topmost knowledge, to develop this loving relationship with the Lord. But where I see that where there's some little bit of ray of hope for me personally is where Narayan says that not only my devotee is dear to me, but the devotee of my devotee. Because I really don't think I have much love for God, for Krishna. I really don't think I have much love for Krishna. And I haven't really done much service for Krishna, anything that's very substantial or very important. However, I feel a lot more connected with Prabhupada, and and doing some service for Prabhupada that we know that really pleased him. Like Prabhupada really wanted to develop farm communities, and he wanted devotees to get to the point where they were self-sufficient in their own food and just chanted Hare Krishna, lived a very simple life, growing their own food and chanting Hare Krishna. So, we're trying to do that, and we're hoping he'll be pleased and like that and accept us as his servant, doing some service. Even like my spiritual master, right? He gave me the name Abhay Charan Das, the servant of Abhay Charan. So I feel connected with him, more than even connected with Krishna. And that's not a bad thing. If you go by that verse from Lord Narayan himself, God saying himself that even the servant of his servant is very dear to him. The devotee of his devotee is very dear to him. So, I mean, I think that's our best hope personally. I'd be interested to hear what you all think about this. But I think even if we can become a good servant of one of Krishna's servants, at least one of Krishna's servants, then that's our ticket out of here. Then Krishna will be very pleased. In one sense, it's very hard to please God, because what can you give him? Because, I mean, he already has everything. I mean, what's the definition of God, right? He has all wealth. He has all knowledge. He has all fame, all beauty, all renunciation, and all, what did I miss out? Did I say beauty? He's got everything. 6 opulences in full, so he's very opulent. Like, if you're going to please a rich man, I mean, what are you going to do? How are you going to please him? But it's said, like, if you please his dog, then he'll be so happy with you.
There was a Queen Elizabeth's birthday, and then Prince Harry was saying that it's very tough to buy a present for you, Grandma. You got everything.
Got everything, yeah. So that's true. It's in that looking at it in that way, it's very hard to do something significant for God. But however, the servant of God, the devotees of God, they need a lot of stuff. They need a lot of stuff. Like Prabhupada was so grateful for any service from any of his young disciples, mostly young disciples, because what did he say? He said, I am an old man. What can one old man do? But you are so many young men and women have come to help me. He said, I am so grateful. I am so thankful, so appreciative. He was always so appreciative of the service of his disciples, that he saw that you have been sent by my Guru Maharaj to help me to carry out his mission. Because remember, his guru, Bhaktisiddhanta, had sent him on a mission to spread Krishna consciousness around the world. And like he said, I am one old man, what can I do? So he said, you have been sent by my Guru Maharaj to help me carry out his mission. Therefore, you are my spiritual master. How about that?
Oh.
He saw his disciples as his spiritual masters, that he had many spiritual masters, which were his disciples externally. But the way he saw, he wasn't saying, I am the big guru and you're all my servants. he was seeing that all these devotees were sent by his guru to help him carry out his guru's order. And that's in that way that they're like on the same level of his spiritual master. So that's the way. And he was so grateful, so appreciative of whatever service anyone did. So like that, I think, personally, I think that's our best hope to get out of this material world, to go back to Godhead, to be recognized by Krishna, is to become a faithful servant of one of his servants. So it's an interesting subject, but very important subject. Anyone want to say anything about it?
That's why we do a prasadam offering to Guru, and through Guru it's reached to Krishna.
Yeah, we're assisting the spiritual master. We're not directly offering to God, but we're actually offering to our guru, like assisting our guru, giving it to him, and he offers it to his superior, and they offer to their superior. So that way it gets offered to Krishna. And you know, who is the actual person that's giving the food to Krishna? Do you know?
Krishna is giving to Krishna.
No.
Because
Who's the final devotee to give the offering of food or whatever it is to Krishna?
Final devotee? What do you mean?
Who's the topmost devotee? You don't know who the topmost devotee is?
Radharani.
Yeah. So Radharani is actually giving the food to Krishna.
Oh, okay.
We're giving it to our guru is giving it to Prabhupada, Prabhupada's giving to Bhaktisiddhanta, Bhaktisiddhanta giving to Gorka Shore is giving it to Bhaktivinoda, Bhaktivinoda giving to Jagannath Das Babaji, and then, you know, up, and then Lalita is giving it to Radharani, and Radharani is giving it to Krishna. And then Krishna is giving his remnants to Radharani, Radharani is giving his to Lalita, and then back down, you know, Prabhupada, our guru, us.
Okay.
So that's the parampara, you know. So that's the way the knowledge goes. That's the way the food goes. Everything goes like that system. The servant of 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 Krishna. That's the system. That's the system. And that system is just full of love. And you know, the more people in the chain, the better. That's more love. Just like, you know, the more people that come together to chant, it's better, isn't it? One person chanting is good. 2 is better. 3 is more better. You know, 100 is fantastic. 1,000 is, whoa, you're seriously getting there. And 10,000, wow. One time, we were actually walking around Mayapur for 1 week, 7 days. And it's called Navadvip Mandal Parikrama. And the last day, and there's too many people to go in one group, so they split it up that year into 4 groups. They had a English-speaking group, a Russian-speaking group, a Hindi-speaking group, and a Bengali-speaking group. Guess which group I was in?
Bengali. Nah.
May Krishna Das Hote Chai.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I was in the English group, but it doesn't really matter. Anyway, the last day, they all meet up at Lord Chaitanya's birthplace. The last day they meet up there. That's called the yoga pit. Where Lord Chaitanya appeared he was born under a neem tree about 500 years ago there.
Yeah. That's why Kalya Prabhu gave his son's name Nimai.
Nimai, yeah. He was known as Nimai when he was young, born under the neem tree. So anyway, the last day, all the parties converged there. It was a bit over 10,000 devotees came together.
Wow.
I have never experienced anything like it in my life. 10,000 devotees roaring out, Gauranga! Hari Bol! Hare Krishna! And there was Bengalis putting garlands on Russians and Africans putting garlands on Aussies, and Hindi ones putting garlands on Kiwis. I think I had about 4 or 5 garlands on coming from different directions, and then you take them off and put them on someone else. And and everyone was crying. It was like buckets of nectar falling out of the sky. It was just, and I was completely squeezed, like a tin of sardines, right? Not a very good example, but that's the example for being squashed up. So everyone was so packed because I got like 5,000 people behind me and 5,000 people in front of me, and it all like squeezed. But it was so ecstatic. It was you just devotees everywhere, and everyone's chanting, everyone's crying, and it's just a sea of devotees. It was just completely ecstatic. So that's the love, the more is better. So Krishna knows how to increase the love. So he's got like unlimited devotees. Do you know why we exist? Why do we exist? Why are we here?
Because of the devotees, do you mean?
No, because we are trying to be equal to Krishna.
No. Well, I said, why do we exist?
Exist.
I mean, after we existed, we might do different things. But what, from Krishna's point of view, I mean, Krishna, we're all expansions of Krishna. We're created by Krishna. So another way of putting it, why did Krishna expand himself into us?
To serve Krishna?
Yeah, to give pleasure, to give service, to love Krishna, to increase his love. I mean, and Krishna is by himself. Imagine that. God is alone. How much love is there? It's pretty boring, isn't it? Imagine being by yourself all the time. It's pretty boring. So then he expanded himself into Balaram to increase his pleasure. Then he can have a relationship with Balaram. Then he expanded his own pleasure potency within his heart, and that became Radharani. So he's got male forms expanding from him. He's got female forms expanding from him. Balaram expands into Sankarshan into Narayan, and then Vasudeva and Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Vishnus, so many Vishnus, then us, all the tiny living entities like that. Why did Krishna expand himself unlimitedly? To increase his happiness, increase his pleasure, because that's the nature of love. Love means relationships. Relationships means there needs to be more than one person. There has to be, I mean, like, why do we create families? I was alone, I was a brahmachari, but then you get a wife. Why get a wife? Because relationship. And then
you need a wife because you need someone to fight with.
You need someone to fight with. Yeah, it's also a relationship.
Yes,
and
that's also love.
And then you want more variety. So then you expand into children. Then 1 kid, 2 kid, like that, and it goes on.
They've been sick of each other fighting, so they can rid of their frustration to children, smacking like left and right in India.
Yeah. So what Gulshan's pointing out is how that love gets perverted in the material world.
Yeah, I got a lot of love from my dad. Oh man, I imagine that. He can smack me anytime, anywhere, without any, giving any idea why did I do something wrong. Yeah. No information, just straight away, whenever I feel like it.
So that original love of the spiritual world gets perverted in the material world, and therefore our relationships can cause us pain and heartache and so many things. But that's a perversion. But the original relationships are very ecstatic, very pure, so much love. And of course, we try to imitate Krishna in the material world. So we're all trying to play God's role and have our own gopis and so forth like that. And it just becomes a big nightmare. But the original reality is very pure, very pure love. And everyone likes to serve each other like that. So, but that principle of relationships, that's where the happiness is. But we just have to find that in spiritual life, not just in material life. It doesn't work because all the relationships here are temporary, and many times they lead to suffering. But in the spiritual life, the relationships are eternal, and they just get better and better. They lead to more and more bliss. Like, I'll give you an example. When the devotee is serving Krishna, he or she becomes more and more happy. And as they become more and more happy, their body naturally becomes more and more beautiful. Because the happiness we feel and how beautiful we look is connected. Have you noticed that? Like, I mean, have you all seen pictures of Prabhupada, right? Put up your hands if you've seen pictures of
That's
Prabhupada.
true that people are telling me you're getting younger and younger. I think you're right.
Who thinks Prabhupada looks ugly? I mean, he's a
Right.
70-year-old man. You know, not many 70-year-olds look beautiful at 80. I mean, he got to the point of 80 also. No, we wouldn't say many 70, 75, 80-year-olds look beautiful. But, you know, put up your hands if he looked beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
Prabhupada just had this beauty about him. And that's because of his happiness in serving Krishna. He's just radiating this joy, this inner joy, inner happiness. And that reflected in his whole body. He had this aura about him. One time, I've told you before, he arrived at an airport, and this African boy happened to be there. And as soon as he saw Prabhupada, he said, "Look at that man, he's shining, he's shining. Look at that man, he's shining, he's shining." You know, it's just so effulgent. It's because Prabhupada is just so happy in Krishna consciousness and his love for Krishna. You know, so it's said like that. The devotee serving Krishna becomes so happy serving Krishna, and becoming more happy becomes more beautiful. When Krishna sees that his devotees is becoming more and more beautiful, when he sees the beauty of his devotee getting more and more, then Krishna becomes more happy. And when Krishna becomes more happy, Krishna becomes more beautiful. And when the devotee sees that Krishna is becoming more beautiful, he becomes more happy. And then when he becomes more happy, he becomes more beautiful. And then when Krishna sees the devotee is more beautiful, then he becomes, so you get the idea? So eternally, the devotee and Krishna, they're getting more and more happy and more beautiful, and their relationship is more and more ecstatic. So that's the spiritual life, that's spiritual relationships. Material life doesn't quite work like that.
Material life, you have
we say, oh, that person's so beautiful, and then I become envious of them. Oh, how can they be more beautiful than me? I have to ruin their life, you know.
Now, they need a plastic surgeon.
And that's also because of plastic surgery. But yeah, so it's all perverted. It doesn't quite work very well in the material world and material consciousness. But yeah, a lot to look forward to. And that's what this verse from last week is indicating. That relation, very intimately connected, the devotee and the Lord. And the devotee doesn't see anything other than the Lord, and the Lord doesn't see anything other than the devotee. And they're always thinking about each other. They're always looking after each other. And it's just so sweet. It's just so special. Okay, so let's do today's one so we can read the Sanskrit for today's one, text 31, chapter 6, text 31. Sarvabhuta stitam yomam.
Sarvabhutam stitam yoman.
Bhajatyekatvam
Bhajatyekatvam.
So you join the Y from Bhajat, you join the Y onto the Eka. So you say Bhajatyekatvam astita. Bhajatyekatvam astita. So that makes it easier to say it. So if you see something like that, you join the Y onto the E, like that. Sarvatavatmanopi.
Sarvatavatmanopi.
Sayogi mai vartate.
Sayogi mai vartate.
We'll do it once more. Sarvabhuta stitam yomam.
Sarvabhuta stitam yoman.
Bhajatyekatvam astita.
Bhajatyekatvam.
Sarvatavatmanopi.
Sarvatavatmanopi.
Sayogi mai vartate.
Sayogi mai vartate.
Deepa, you like to read the English, please?
Oh, you're
Oh,
in
your
the mute.
speaker's off. Your
Speaker's off.
speakerphone's off.
Such a yogi engages in the worshipful service of the Supersoul, knowing that I and the Supersoul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances. Wow.
Yeah, this is very wonderful. This is continuing the love between the devotee and the Lord. So the yogi, which also you could interchange that word to devotee. So yogi in this context means a devotee. It doesn't mean someone just doing exercises and breathing and postures. The yogi means, because yogi, what is yoga? Yoga comes from the word yoke, meaning to link, to connect, right? So it means someone intimately connected with the Lord. Of course, many of the modern day yoga practitioners are not really intimately connected with the Lord. Just by doing exercise postures and breathing, things like that is not necessarily going to make you intimately related with the Lord, connected with the Lord. So here, such a yogi means such a loving devotee. So what are they doing? They're serving the Supersoul. But what kind of service? So just in case you misunderstand it, it's not like the service we do at work, right? Where you work for your boss, you do service for your boss. Why? Because you get paid, not necessarily because you love to do it. Most people don't really love their work, isn't it? How do you know that some people might say that, I love my job. I really love my job. Okay, if you really love your job, then give me your salary and just work for free. Give all your salary and wages to me, and then we'll see if you really love your job. And that's a fact that, like when I joined ISKCON, no one got paid. I never got paid. And I worked around the clock from when I got up to when I went to bed. And if I did collect any money, and sometimes I did, because sometimes I was distributing books, then I would give all the money to the temple. I wouldn't keep 1 cent. I didn't have a bank account. Didn't even have a bank account. We used to travel. The guy that I used to travel with, Ami is staying with us at the moment. So we're reminiscing about the old days. We used to travel around, distribute books. We didn't even have a bank account. We just gave all the money to the temple, and they gave us books and we gave them money, so it was completely ecstatic, and if I was doing gardening, that's the first service I had, was gardening. So I would give all the eggplants and all the zucchinis and all the silver beet and everything to the temple, and I didn't keep any for myself. Of course, the temple gave me prasadam. So they converted all those eggplants and zucchinis into delicious food. So I'm not complaining, and it gave me the energy to grow more veggies for Krishna. So it's a complete circle. But like this is saying worshipful service. So it's not like, just the normal paid service, but it's worshipful service. It means, the devotee is serving the Lord with great love and reverence. I'm so honored to get this opportunity. This is such a great opportunity that I can offer an arti to you, that I can give these vegetables to you, that I can chant your holy name, that I have the great good fortune to clean the temple floor. And it's like you have a worshipful attitude even about cleaning the floor of the temple. I remember the first service I had when I joined. The first service, do you know what that was? It's very traditional.
Washing pots.
Washing pots, very good. So the washing pots. And normally you don't have a very worshipful attitude, do you, when you wash pots? It's like, oh God, I hate washing pots, and
Now,
you can't wait to finish
someone
it.
loves her washing pot. His name is Mahabhadra.
Mahabhadra, he's a good example of worshipful
Oh
service.
man!
Pots.
If you
But
stand there, he'll wash you. He needs the pot.
But what the devotee told me changed my whole attitude about washing pots. He said, these are not ordinary pots. These are God's pots. And my mouth fell open. I went, It's like, these are God's pots, really? Wow. And he said, when you're cleaning the black from the bottom of these pots, and believe me, there was a lot of black because they had just cooked a feast for 300 people and they were really burnt. So he said, when you're cleaning the black from the bottom of these pots, then Krishna will clean the black from your heart. And I went, wow, I have to clean all the black from these pots, you know. So, and then he put on the music. They had these beautiful bhajans and kirtans playing, you know, these famous Hare Krishna, you know, recordings and everything. And it was just so ecstatic. And then you really do have a worshipful service attitude. You know, you really are so happy to serve, and you really like to serve. And it's not because you're forced to serve. It's not because you have to serve, but you want to serve. And this service, this is worship. Don't think worship is just waving some incense and a ghee lamp around, you know, the Brahmin or the priest, you know, worships on the altar. No, anyone that has this right, you know, humble service attitude, that enjoys to serve in any area, whether it be administration or gardening or cooking or cleaning or whatever it may be, helping people with their health, you know, whatever. If you have that, you know, humble and enthusiastic service attitude, then that's worship.
Bob,
That's
come to the
worship.
temple.
Huh?
Bob, come to the temple for service.
No, but like you're not getting what I'm saying.
I
Your service is everywhere. Service is everywhere. See, look at this verse. What is it saying? Where the worshipful service is directed where? Does it say worshipful service at the temple?
No, Supersoul.
The Supersoul. Where is the Supersoul?
Supersoul is
in our own heart.
Yeah.
You can even direct your worshipful service to the Lord in your own heart. So that means they would, this is talking about the dhyana yogi, that's the chapter we're in. So he's sitting down in a forest somewhere without any clothes on, and his eyes are closed, and he's fasting, and he's slowing down his breathing. He's pretty much shut down his body at this point. And he's absorbed, and his mind is working. His body is pretty much not working at this point. A breath every now and again, that's about all the body's doing. And the heart is ticking away, but it's not moving. But the main activity is in the mind. So he's absorbed in meditation on the beautiful form of the Supersoul. So he's visualizing in his mind's eye the beautiful lotus feet of the Supersoul, and the ankles of the Supersoul, the legs of the Supersoul, the waist of the Supersoul, the chest, the forearms of the Supersoul, the beautiful blue color, his beautiful long black hair, his beautiful yellow dhoti, you know, the jewels, he wears a kaustubha. The jewels around the Lord's neck is called kaustubha money. And there's a jewel hanging around that necklace. The jewel is the shape of a calf. The jewel on the kaustubha jewel, there's the shape of a calf, is wearing around the neck of the Lord. So he's meditating on that. He has a golden line of hair on his chest. One side of his chest, there's a line of golden hair. Can you imagine? So he has a blackish body, and he's got this beautiful golden line of hair on his chest. That's called Srivatsa. Is it called Srivatsa? So I think it's called Srivatsa. I have to think about that. But anyway, he has a golden line of hair on his chest, and there's this Srivatsa, Jayanti's saying from downstairs. Like that, so many detailed features the yogi is meditating on. In one hand he's carrying, we read about. We talked about. What did we just talk about? One symbol of Vishnu. What is he holding in one hand?
We talked about Sudarshan Chakra.
Yeah, so he carries the weapon, the chakra, in one hand. Another hand he carries the conch shell. Yeah. the shank. Another hand he's holding the lotus, a lotus flower, and another hand he's holding a club.
4 hands.
So yeah, 4 hands. So 2 of those symbols are used for bashing the demons. Which ones does he bash the demons with?
The Darshan chakra.
Yeah.
And the 4th one, what do you call it? I forgot.
The club.
Club,
The
yeah.
gada.
Gada.
Called gada.
The one Hanuman got it.
Gada. In Mayapur, there's a building called the Gada building.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's got a picture, it's got a club on the side of it. And another building is called the Chakra building. Another building is called the Conch building. And then there's the Lotus building. So they've named the buildings after these 4 symbols of Vishnu. Next time you go there, have a look. And you'll see the different weapons there and stuff. And 2 of them are for benedicting or blessing the devotees. The lotus and the conch shell. Like when he blessed Dhruva Maharaj, that 4-year-old child, he touched the conch shell on his head. He touched it to his head. And as soon as he touched the conch shell on his head, Dhruva Maharaj, even though a pretty ignorant 5-year-old boy, he was fully enlightened. And he spoke these beautiful prayers because the Lord had touched him with his conch shell.
That's why we touch the forehead before we blow the conch shell in the temple.
Respect,
Like
yeah. It's said that Lakshmi Narayan reside inside the conch shell. So it's worshipful. Once again, touch all the paraphernalia to your head. Respect. You should always have respect. We treat everything as worshipable. That's connected with the Lord. Just like the devotees of the Lord are worshipable because they're connected with the Lord. The conch shell, the prasadam is connected with the Lord. It's been offered to the Lord. It's sanctified. It's worshipful. The Hare Krishna mantra, you worship it, say it with a worshipful attitude because it's the holy name of the Lord. It's non-different from the Lord. So all these things, the Bhagavad Gita, sometimes what devotees will do, they'll put the Bhagavad Gita on their altar. It's worshipable because it's connected with the Lord. It's the words of the Lord. So any kind of connection with the Lord makes that thing worshipable. So we don't only worship the blue boy Krishna playing the flute with the peacock feather in the hair. We worship anything connected with Krishna. Anything connected with Krishna, we worship it. That's called tadiya. Tadiya or tadiyanam. Tadiyanam means, or tadiya means those things in relationship with the Lord. Samachanam means we worship them. So anything related to or connected with the Lord is worshipable. I mean, how many things are connected with the Lord? Do you know? Like just a few things? You tell me, let's put it another way. You tell me what's not connected with the Lord. Right, he said nothing. So the topmost devotee pretty much has a worshipful attitude to everything because he's like, for example, he sees, like we've just read that, right? Sees the super soul everywhere, sees that God is within everything and everything is within God. So you tell me what we can't worship, so like that, it's just a matter of what vision we have. I know, some devotees, like in Vrindavan and that, they'll bow down to a dog. They'll bow down to the cow. Because they're seeing these animals are in Krishna's homeland. This is Krishna's personal place. This is like the spiritual world. And, these are very elevated beings. Even, like it said, you shouldn't hurt any living being in Vrindavan. They're not ordinary creatures. Not only is the super soul in their heart, but they're all like elevated souls to take birth there, to live in Vrindavan or in Mayapur. It's not just that the super soul is there, that's always there, but they're very elevated souls. They're very dear to the Lord to be given that privilege to take birth in the holy dham. It's called Tirtha. The holy place is called Tirtha. So they're born in the most holy. There's many Tirthas, but this is the most holy of all Tirthas. So it said that even the animals in Vrindavan, the birds and the fish and everything, they're all liberated. They're all liberated souls. They're going to go back to Godhead. They're going to go back to Godhead after that birth. They go back to Godhead. Even the dogs and the pigs and in Vrindavan, they're going to go back to Godhead. They're all liberated souls.
If you die in Vrindavan, it'll be better.
Yeah, if you die in Vrindavan, you definitely go back to Godhead. Anyone that dies in
Deepa,
Vrindavan.
let's go.
I mean, one materialistic man had heard about this, that if you die in Vrindavan, you go back to Godhead. So he was dying, and so he said, he arranged to get a ticket to Vrindavan, but he thought, I've got it all sorted now. Now I'm going to die in Vrindavan and go back to Godhead. But he didn't have the right attitude. So something, health complication happened, and he had to be rushed to hospital in Delhi or something, and then he died there. So, he thought he had it all planned out. I'll die in Vrindavan, go back to Godhead. But Krishna, obviously, the Supersoul, saw that, hey, mate, you're not qualified to go back to Godhead. You can go back to Delhi. You can go back to Delhi and then come back again, mate, until you develop a worshipful service attitude. Actually, that's the main thing. It's not what we do, but your attitude. What is your attitude? It's not that you have to be a priest, a pujari in the temple to go back to Godhead. The main thing, it's not what you're doing. Don't think, the best service is to be a pujari. If you're a pujari, you'll go back to Godhead. I'm just cleaning the floor. I'm not going to go back to Godhead. You have to be a pujari. It's not what you're doing, but it's your attitude. I'll tell you one story, that there was one Brahmana, that means the people that, the priests that worship the Lord and everything like that. They have a bit of knowledge and stuff like that. So there was a Brahmana, he was externally reading the Bhagavad Gita. But there was a window there, and he's looking out the window. On the other side of the street is where the prostitutes are. So externally, he's looking at the Bhagavad Gita, but he's actually looking over the street to the prostitutes. And so the other side of the street, let's look at it from their point of view. One of the prostitutes, externally, she's doing her job, satisfying the men. And it's her job, She's not doing it because she likes it, because she's got to, pay for her family to survive, to eat something. And she's looking across the street and she's seeing the Brahmana reading the Bhagavad Gita. And she's thinking that, he's so fortunate to be reading Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna is so kind, driving the chariot for Arjuna, and he's a supreme personality of Godhead, and she's thinking Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. So while she's doing her work, she's thinking about God. While he was doing his work, supposed to be thinking about God, but he's thinking about the prostitute. So then in due course of time, they both died. Do you know, where did the Brahmana go?
Oh, in hell.
Yeah, not very good place. And where did the prostitute go?
In heaven.
It's Krishna.
Yeah, she went to Krishna.
Loka,
far beyond heaven. She went to Krishna. So, the main thing is to have that worshipful service.
How do we develop that worshipful service?
One thing is just practice. One thing is practice.
And association.
It's saying, right, that imitation of a good thing is a good thing. So we might not have a worshipful attitude, especially if you come from my background. We have a very materialistic attitude, but you just practice it. And one time, a new man came to the temple, and he saw that everyone was bowing down to Prabhupada at the beginning of the class, because Prabhupada would say, Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacaryasto Tarasada Shishimad Shilabhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Gaudi Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Shishi Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. So there's a whole list of things, and everyone's bowing down to Prabhupada. All glorious assembled devotees Ki Jai. Haribol. So, and everyone's bowing down to Prabhupada that whole time. And one man asked a question, new guy. He said, Swamiji, I see everyone's bowing down to you, but in my heart, I don't feel like bowing down to you. In my heart, I think it would be artificial to bow down to you when there's no feeling to bow down to you. I think it would be better to wait for the feeling to come. And when the feeling comes, then I'll bow down. I think that'll be more genuine, right? So that was, we might think with our mundane logical mind that, yeah, that makes a bit of sense. You know, it's a bit artificial bowing down when you don't feel like bowing down and you're just doing it because, you know, you're told to do it and everything like that, and better to wait till you actually feel some love for the person and then bow down. But Prabhupada said no. Prabhupada said no. He said you should bow down. He said by practicing to bow down, then the feeling will come. That's how it works. By practicing to bow down, gradually the feeling will come. What feeling will come? A feeling of respect and worshipful attitude towards the person you're bowing down to. So in the beginning, you just even mechanically do the service and just do the service even mechanically, and then gradually, that our hope is the feeling will come. What did you say? Something deeper?
Oh, I just said fake it till you make it.
Yeah, fake it till you make it.
Of
Of course.
Even if it's a car service as well, you have to service it. You don't
Yeah.
service the car when it's breakdown.
Yeah.
You have to keep servicing the car in order to
Yeah.
get, make sure it runs okay.
I mean, you see, in the very beginning, why don't we have a worshipful service attitude? Actually, I mean, we're a pure soul and we have an intimate relationship with God already, with Krishna already. Mamaivam Shauji Valoke. We're part and parcel of Krishna. We're his servant, Krishna Das, but we're covered by Maya. So our heart has got, like, I can't show it, but a mountain of rubbish over our heart. You know, what is that rubbish? Lust, greed, anger, envy, pride. You know, I haven't got enough fingers to tell you all the rubbish that's there. And it's just so much rubbish, mountains, and not just one lifetime that we've been acting lustfully, acting greedily, acting angrily, but millions of lifetimes. So that just indicates how big the rubbish pile is. If you put all of Sydney's rubbish together with Melbourne's rubbish and Brisbane's rubbish and Perth's rubbish and New Zealand's rubbish, and you put it all on top of your heart, it's not enough, you know, of what's there, you know, so it's a lot of rubbish.
India got more rubbish than anyone else.
You can throw India's on there too, you know, so that's all what's
Because
in
I'm
our
Indian.
heart. There's a lot of
That's
rubbish.
Indian rubbish.
So because of that, we don't have that respect, you know, we don't have that feeling of love, you know. Basically, I mean, Bhagavatam says, second canto, says, if you say the words Hare Krishna and tears don't come out of your eyes, what does the Bhagavatam say? Your heart is steel framed.
Your heart is still
Steel framed. It has a frame of steel around it. So basically, you know, we're materially contaminated, like seriously, you know. See, the heart is supposed to be a soft organ.
Bob, you have to go to the heart specialist to find out.
Say soft-hearted, right? But actually we become very hard-hearted, you know, like steel is hard, right? Yeah. So love indicates softness, you know. Love means there has to be softness, but we've become very hard. What is the opposite to love is lust, right? So it means selfishness. So that so many selfish activities have made us very hard-hearted. Me. If we tend to always say that, right? I did this and I am this and, you know, me and this is mine and this house is mine, the money is mine, the car is mine, and this is my family and my and I. So this I and mine mentality, we've become very selfish and very lusty, and the love has gone very far away. You know, a soul that loves Krishna never thinks about I and me and mine. He thinks about Krishna. This is Krishna's home, and this is you know, Krishna's devotees and Krishna's prasadam, and you know, and I am Krishna's, and Krishna is mine. There's only one thing that a pure devotee says is mine. You know what that is?
My Krishna.
Yeah, my Krishna. You know, that Krishna is mine. It doesn't say anything else is mine. But this whole idea that everything's mine, and that makes us so greedy and lusty and everything like that. And when, you know, someone else enjoys it, we become angry and like that. So our heart is so contaminated. So that's what we expect. That we expect that there's not
like
going to be a
if you say that
worshipful service.
Krishna is mine. Everything belongs to Krishna, and Krishna
Yeah.
is mine. So that means everything mine.
No, is the possessiveness of love, you know, not of anything else. Yeah, so that's a different kind of possessiveness. And every devotee thinks that Krishna's mine. Like Krishna had 16,108 wives, right? And every single wife was thinking Krishna's mine. And we might think, well, how the hell is that possible? Every wife is thinking Krishna's mine, you know, and there's only one Krishna and so many wives. That doesn't work. But Krishna expanded himself to be with each wife at the same time. So therefore, it was a workable situation that every woman is thinking that Krishna's mine, and Krishna was theirs, and Krishna was with them all the time. Not that each wife gets to see Krishna after 16,108 days. That wouldn't be very good. No, Krishna was each, and even the rasa dance, when Krishna's dancing, Krishna expanded himself to be with each gopi at the same time. And each gopi could only see Krishna with her. Can you believe it? Did you know that? Yeah. Each gopi could only see Krishna with her. She was thinking Krishna is mine. Krishna's just dancing with me. But actually Krishna was with every gopi. But Krishna's Maya covered the vision of the gopis. They could only see the Krishna that was with them, not with anyone else. And that's how Krishna increases the love. Krishna knows how to increase the love of his devotees. So each one felt that they were so special, so lucky, so special. So yeah, that's how it's going to end up. Very worshipful attitude. But in the beginning, we can't expect that. So you just, in the beginning, do it as a matter of duty. And you're gonna. I didn't count, but you're gonna read the word duty. I don't know, maybe 100 times or more in the Bhagavad Gita. Does it talk about in the Bhagavad Gita? Think of Krishna if you feel like thinking of Krishna. Become Krishna's devotee if you feel like. No, it says as a matter of duty. It says you have to surrender as a matter of duty. You know, that you have to do service as a matter of duty. Krishna's always telling Arjuna, right? What is he telling Arjuna? You're a Kshatriya, do your duty. He doesn't say, oh, Arjuna, if you feel like fighting, then fight. If you don't feel like it, this is new age hogwash. New age hogwash. Oh, it's all, what do you feel in your heart? Forget about what you feel in your heart. What you feel in your heart is all contaminated junk. You know, lust, greed, and anger. And we have to just, you know, work with our intelligence. And you know, we have heard from the spiritual master in the scriptures that we should do this and we should do that and we shouldn't do this and we shouldn't do that. So we have to follow that. That's how we determine what to do, what not to do, is what the scripture says, what the guru says. Forget about what your heart's telling you to do. Your heart is completely captured by Maya.
Contaminated.
In the end of the 3rd chapter, Krishna tells us what our number one enemy is. He says it's lust. And then he tells us, what does the lust do? It says it covers your knowledge. And then he tells us, well, where is the lust? Where is this enemy? If you're going to fight with an enemy, what's the first thing you have to know? Well, who is your enemy, right? And then you have to know what is the capacity of your enemy. And then you have to know where is the enemy. How can you fight an enemy if you don't know where they are? So Krishna very kindly is telling us where our enemy is, what it is, what he's doing, everything. So then when he says, where is the enemy? You know where he says, where is the enemy? Where is lust?
It's either in your heart or your mind. Is that what is it?
It's in both of those plus more. It's basically overrun us. You know, that the enemy has already got inside the fortress. Good luck. You know, he says lust is in your senses. Senses means the whole body, right? Senses means your eyes, your nose, your tongue, your genitals, your arms, your legs, everything, 10, right? And then he says it's in your mind. So I think we're pretty stuffed. And then he says it's in your intelligence. You know, so basically we're completely overrun by the enemy. By Prabhupada calls it Mr. Lust. So this is our enemy. Oh, I thought my enemy was the government. I thought it was the neighbors. I thought it was this other religion. No, actually our main enemy is the lust in our own heart. This desire for sense gratification is our number one enemy, because that's what keeps us in the material world. Even though I admit the politicians are pretty bad, but they're actually not keeping us in the material world. It's actually my own desire for enjoying in the material world is keeping me in the material world. Although I don't really like the Prime Minister of New Zealand, but she's not keeping me in the material world. She can't do that. But the only thing that can keep me in the material world is me, is my own desires for enjoying in the material world. That's what keeps me in the material world. Not my wife, not my kids, not my parents, not New Zealanders, not the neighbors, not the animals, nothing, not the demigods. No, the only thing that keeps me in the material world is me, my own foolish desires that I want to enjoy in this world. You know, so that's our number one enemy. And he says it's gone everywhere. So what's the remedy? Look at the last verse of the 3rd chapter. Evam bodhe parambudva samstavyat manaji shatram mahabaho kamarupadarasadam. He said, thus knowing oneself to be superior to the material senses, minds, and intelligence, and thus with spiritual strength, Krishna consciousness, one should conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. So that's the remedy. We have to get knowledge from the spiritual master, because remember, what does lust do? Covers your knowledge. So you don't have any knowledge. So you got to get knowledge from somewhere else. Where are you going to get it from? You got to get it from your spiritual master, because basically, what is our knowledge? We don't have any knowledge. We're idiots because we have been victimized by lust. So that's taken all our knowledge away. So basically, we have to realize we're all as good as morons, and we have to start again by getting knowledge from the spiritual master, from the scriptures. That's why when Lord Chaitanya was talking about his spiritual master, he said, my spiritual master called me a fool and told me I should just chant Hare Krishna. That's God speaking, by the way. So Lord Chaitanya, who is God in the mood of a devotee, said that my spiritual master called me a fool. In Bengali, that's called murka. So he said, you're a murka, you're a fool, and basically you don't know what to do, so you just chant Hare Krishna. Simple. End of story. You don't know what to do, I'll tell you what to do. You chant Hare Krishna. So that's the situation in the material world, especially in Kali Yuga. We're very foolish. All our knowledge is stolen by lust, you know, and we should just hear from the spiritual master and take that direction from them and do that as a matter of duty. So that's the recommendation. We should understand that I'm not the body, I'm a spirit soul, and I'm a servant of God, and my spiritual master is going to help me to get back to my normal condition as a loving servant of God. So we have to follow his direction. And Prabhupada says that's the secret of success in spiritual life, is to satisfy the self-realized spiritual master. And we do that. How do you satisfy your spiritual master? Very easy, just by following the instructions. So if he says chant Hare Krishna, you chant Hare Krishna. If he says don't eat meat, don't have intoxication, then you follow that. If he says, you know, try to spread Krishna consciousness, you try to do that. If he says look after the farm, then you try to do that. You know, so whatever he says, you know, if he says live a simple life, grow your own veggies and chant Hare Krishna, that's it, bus, then that's perfection. You know, that's perfection. That's what you should do. So we just try to follow the instructions. If he says bow down, then you bow down. I'll tell you what, talking about bowing down. So you're right. And that was actually Garga Muni. He became a devotee later on. That was Garga Muni. And but he was coming from that background where he was proud. Because that's what it is, right? We're so proud we don't want to bow down. Well, actually, you know, why don't we want to bow down to someone like Prabhupada? Because of envy and pride. That's all it is. He's such a beautiful person. He's so deserving, you know, of our respect. Why don't we want to bow down? Is because of pride. You know? So another time Prabhupada was leaving a temple and walking to the car to leave, and everyone bowed down except for one brahmachari. And he remained standing and just did this. I mean, that's some respect, but it's more respect to physically bow your head on the ground. And he's got no excuse. The young brahmachari is not some old man or whatever that has, you know, knee replacement and can't bow down, you know, so he might have an excuse. But young guy, you know, and didn't bow down. And Prabhupada saw him from the corner of his eye. Prabhupada was very alert. Oh my God, it'd take a lot to get past Prabhupada. Not much got past Prabhupada's vision. Talking about spiritual vision, we've been reading about that. Prabhupada was so alert to what was going on around him. He's so conscious. It's not just that he was seeing Krishna and didn't see what else was going on. He noticed everything. If there was some dirt, people said, if there was just a piece of dirt somewhere in the temple, Prabhupada would find it and say, just see, you guys are so dirty, you know, like that. He was so conscious of everything. One time in Mayapur, he was on a morning walk with hundreds of devotees, and he stopped outside the public toilet, which smelt disgusting. And he said, he turned around to all the devotees, and many of them had given, you know, Brahmin initiation, which is a very elevated, you know, meaning that they're very clean people and everything like that. He said, how can all of you tolerate this bad smell? He says, if you can tolerate this bad smell, I think I made a mistake to give you Brahmin initiation, because a true Brahmana, a real Brahmana, cannot tolerate bad smell. He cannot. It's impossible. He will immediately try to remove the bad smell. He cannot tolerate any dirty situation. So if you can tolerate this, if you can not react, if you can walk past this without reacting, then I think you guys are not qualified. And do you know what happened?
They cleaned the toilet.
They all cleaned the toilet very quickly before Prabhupada took away their Brahmin initiation, you know, so that completely was a shock for them, you know. So Prabhupada was very alert. So he noticed this one guy just right on the side of him, not even in front of him, didn't bow down. And he said very softly, only the couple of servants that were around him heard what he said. He said, that is the beginning of his fall down. He was proud. What is the saying? Pride comes before the... You don't know that saying? It's a very old saying. I think it's a biblical saying. Pride comes before the fall.
Yeah.
Pride comes before the fall. The Prabhupada said that is the beginning of his fall down. It means a lack of respect for his spiritual master, who is worthy of respect. He's the representative of God. It means if you don't respect the representative of God, how can you respect God? You tell me. I mean, imagine if the Governor General comes to Australia. If you don't offer respect to the Governor General, what does that mean for your relationship with the Queen of England?
Nothing.
It means you don't respect the Queen, because he's the representative of the Queen. And by the way, I'm not saying you should respect the Queen. She's probably a pretty evil person, but
No, she's old.
yeah, old. But I mean, there's anyway. I don't want to tell you all the conspiracy theories, but anyway, that's just illustrating the point that, you know, the Governor General is the representative of the Queen. So whatever you offer to the Governor General goes to the Queen. So, you know, if you respect him, then the respect goes to the Queen. If you give him money, then the money goes to the Queen. If you give him a diamond ring, you know, that goes to the Queen. You know, so one time Prabhupada said, do you know what my job is? Collecting obeisances.
Collecting
obeisances.
obeisance.
Obeisances means when we bow down, that's called obeisance. So Prabhupada is, don't think also that Prabhupada is very egoistic. He's very proud that he wants everyone to bow down to him. Oh, Prabhupada is very arrogant. Look, he was sad that this guy didn't bow down to him, but he's got a lot of ego. Don't think like that. He's collecting those obeisances on behalf of God, because he's the representative, the via medium to God. So he doesn't want any respect for himself, but he wants the respect for God. So all the money that came to him would all be used for God, nothing for himself. Nothing for himself. All the money was used for God. All the respect was given to God, given to his spiritual master. And that's the Vedic process of the guru and disciple relationship like that. And yeah, we've talked a lot about these kind of things, but they're very important things, so it's worth discussing. Because like this is the main thing, is the service attitude. We need to develop that, and don't expect it's just going to automatically be there. I mean, we do have an attitude for service, but because we are a soul. But see, the problem is that service is directed towards Maya, isn't it? Like I'm serving my tongue, I'm serving my genitals, I serve the dog, I serve, you know, family members like that. But we're not serving God anymore. Like Prabhupada said, right? You either serve God, G-O-D, or you serve dog, G-O-D, right? If you turn that around, what's God backwards? Dog. So that's what's happened, right? We're still serving because it's our nature to serve, but we're just serving our senses. Oh, you know, my beloved dog, you know, I love my dog, you know, so that's the situation. So we have to turn it back the other way, from dog to God, you know, and that's not easy. So we have to do our duty. In the beginning, you know, it's not going to come automatically, but you know, you have to do your duty, you know. So you know, I don't feel like chanting today, but still I chant, you know, because as a matter of duty. And one day you will feel like chanting. You know, one day you won't want to stop chanting. Like one of our acharyas, our great teachers, Rupa Goswami, said, what is the use of one tongue? How much chanting I can do with one tongue. If I had thousands of tongues, then I could really relish chanting. If I had thousands of tongues. What are these 2 ears? How much I can hear? Not much about Krishna. If I had millions of ears, then I could really enjoy. So you can tell, you know, how much attraction that he has for chanting about Krishna and hearing about Krishna, that he doesn't have enough tongues and ears, you know. So, but for us, it's not quite like that right now. I mean, are any of you thinking like that?
Not yet.
Kind of.
We might say, oh, I wish I had more tongues to eat Bhakti Tree Prasadam or the Farm Prasadam, to eat the paneer sabji. I wish I had more
Listen,
tongues.
Prabhuji, don't say Bhakti Tree Prasadam, because I'm suffering for last 3 weeks. It's closed. And
no
you got
prasadam.
no idea. And then they were talking, they will do meeting and they might close 1 more week.
Oh, okay.
And I said, that's...
So you must be starving. So
No, I
come
cook
on,
at
you guys,
home.
you better send prasadam to Gulshan before he leaves this body.
Well,
You're joking.
no. What is it?
Extend 1 more week.
Yeah, 1 more week they were talking about to close. They were saying Monday the meeting. Tuesday supposed to be like open on Wednesday, 12th of January. But 11th of January, they got to have a meeting in Bhakti Tree. And the Brett said that they might close 1 more week. I said, okay. What is it? It's not up to me. It's the Pratapna Prabhu Ajeshri. When, you know, I'm just a, you know, humble servant standing in the front. When they open, I'll go. If they open 1 more month, 2 more months, doesn't matter. Whenever it's open, I'll go.
Abhay, sorry, I have to
No,
go.
no, no, you
Yeah,
can't.
no, I'm
you
late. I'm
can't.
late. It's my fault. Sorry for being
Thank
late.
you. No,
Hare
I
Krishna.
loved it. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yes.
Katie,
We
I
love you,
I'll
Bobby.
ring you tomorrow morning.
Okay, Haribol.
Haribol.
And Bhakti Mala, just one more thing about your question. Oh, she's left.
She gone.
Oh, she disappeared. Anyway, that's
We
okay.
all have to disappear one day.
No, I was just going to say, because her question, right, was how do you develop that that attitude, that worshipful attitude? So that was one thing. You just do your duty and it'll come out of that.
Yeah.
But another thing is who you associate with. Even if you don't have a worshipful attitude, if you associate with people that have a worshipful attitude, then through that association, it can rub off.
Yeah.
Right? If you associate with a drunkard, there's a good chance you'll become a drunkard. And if you associate with a saintly person like that, a sadhu, then there's a good chance you'll become a sadhu. So association is very powerful. That's why it's always talked about the importance of satsanga, sadhu sangha, because you can get all their qualities by associating with them: enthusiasm, determination, confidence, patience, forgiveness, tolerance, compassion, everything. I mean, I think if I do have any good qualities, I'm not sure, but if I do have any, it's all from Prabhupada, from associating
your
with
Guru
his
Maharaj.
books and my Guru Maharaj and other devotees like Amiyatmas here at the moment. It's all their qualities are slowly, I hope, rubbing off a little bit. There's still quite a bit of rough edges for sure.
And a very good devotee that you get married with, Jayanti Mataji. You get all these qualities from her,
Yes. I have Jayanti's good qualities are rubbing off on me.
Definitely.
Hopefully not her.
You know what?
Hopefully,
there is
hopefully not her bad qualities, just the good
now
qualities.
look at it. There is nobody prasadam in all over the world. Hare Krishna prasadam. Nobody distribute masala dosa. Only Bhakti Reed does because of Jayanti.
There you go.
Yeah, because there's I never seen any of the prasadam anywhere in the world. They will distribute the masala dosa only in Bhakti Tree because of Jayanti. Thank you very much, Jayanti.
Yeah, South Indian influence.
Yes, that's right. So you must be getting a lot of prasadam from Jayanti, sir. There you go. Luckiest man on the planet.
Everyone else is saying the same thing of associating with you, that your qualities are rubbing off on them. So
that's right. Abhay Prabhu's quality, You know what?
Yeah.
I tell you in the beginning, I was thinking all the books we are selling there, it said that Abhay Charan, and I said, you are the writer of all these books. And I said, really? I was so admiring you. I said, oh my God, what a man. I did not know that. Prabhupada's name is like that. I was thinking, everybody said Abhay Charan. I said, oh my God. Oh, I did not know that, honestly.
That just shows how deluded you are, Gulshan. You was completely in Maya.
It's still in Maya. I'm still in Maya. I'm trying to get it out.
Anyway, I feel very honored. I feel very honored that you thought like that about me for a few moments until you.
I did. I said,
through.
oh, what a man. I just really, my searches end. Yeah.
We're not even a speck of dust at the feet of Prabhupada anyway. Even to be a speck of dust at Prabhupada's feet is a great fortune.
You'll be lucky.
I mean, if we can just pray to become a speck of dust at Prabhupada's lotus feet, then that's all we need. That's all we need.
I show you that where I distribute my prasadam. Can you see that from here? And it goes here and it's there.
Yes. Yeah.
So it starts from Radhanath Swami and goes to Prabhupada and then Panchtattva. That's all I've got.
Perfect system. That's the system. Yeah. And you were sitting under the feet of Radha Krishna. That's very nice.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one. That's also given by you anyway.
Yeah, no, that's our pleasure. That's our pleasure. We're glad it's
wonderful. Yeah, that's
being used in Krishna's service. Yeah, nice.
Okay.
Well, I better let you go, and it's